Life is undeniably chaotic and unpredictable. I feel like every other season I'm thrown in for a loop. I never know what's going to happen next, but I have found a really solid relationship to my inner stability and sense of calm moving through the world. And while these may be kind of basic things, I just wanted to speak to some of what keeps me mentally stable and grounded through every season. Thank you so much for being here and joining me today. I get so many questions about how I regulate every single day, how I'm happy and peaceful all the time, seemingly online, and how I afford to live the life that I do. So I'm gonna have different titles in the timeline below. I feel like I've created a really solid and stable world around me. So even when my mood or my mental health feels rocky, I have a really solid ground all around me to feel held by and rooted in. And let's just get into it. I'm gonna start off talking about money. We are all subject to living in a capitalist society. There is no ethical consumption under capitalism, but we can use our money for good. If you have money, you can be more generous. You're not thinking about it every second of your life. You're not living in survival. If you don't have money, it is a constant point of focus and it is so stressful. And I grew up poor. My parents were constantly arguing about finances. I was constantly hearing, oh, we can't afford this. We don't have money for this. And we were struggling between paying our bills and buying groceries. And I always felt really resentful of my parents for even birthing me into the world when they couldn't afford me. I was like, why would you have children if you can't afford them? I felt like a burden from such a young age. And I started working really young because of this. When I went to college, I started to do sex work when I was underage because I felt more terrified of having debt and loans than putting myself in those like dangerous or unsafe situations as a minor. Pretty much completely hit rock bottom, decided to drop out of college, prioritize financial and mental stability over everything, and that is honestly what started the rest of my life. Then just started working retail jobs and started to find random modeling jobs. I would even look on Craigslist for random work. I would listen to podcasts in a little earbud in my ear, and then I started to make friends at my retail job, and that made it so much more fun. Like, okay, I'm just hanging out with my people while I'm here. And so I did that for a really long time while also making YouTube videos. And this is one of the hardest things to do, is to make money from a creative job. You have to really love whatever creative path you're pursuing and be prepared to do it consistently without making any money for the first 1 to 2 years, especially with content creation. But I really feel like this feeds into any sort of creative path, whether you're starting out fresh or you already have some kind of trade to market yourself, put yourself out there, build clients and a community. Whether or not you have a creative job or you have a 9 to 5, these are things that I do financially every single month that make me feel really stable and secure. So I used to keep my money in a normal savings, but now I take a chunk of my savings every single month and put it into stocks and bonds. It's a really low risk profile, mostly with bonds that will grow over time. Appreciating your money is one of the easiest ways to create a retirement account, starting like the moment that you watch this video. If you do not have some sort of retirement account or investment account, I have a Roth IRA, and I also have, I just invest into the stock market, into renewable energy and things that I believe in. I love using my Roth IRA because when I contribute money at the end of every single year, I get a percentage taken off of what I have to pay in taxes. Having a retirement account makes me feel so grounded and peaceful because neither of my parents have any retirement fund, and one of my financial goals was to help my dad retire, and I have met that goal, but I don't want that burden to have to go to my kids. And so I feel so empowered just knowing that I have my own bag, I have something that I will be able to live off of in the future. It's so funny how this has impacted my spiritual journey, but I feel like this is why people go to ashrams, you know, it's to be fully held and taken care of so that you can focus your energy on evolving your consciousness, witnessing yourself as a being in the world rather than constantly worrying about survival. But it does feel like it takes away this intense feeling of survival, having a savings and a retirement account. So all of my travel, all of my Airbnbs are tax write-offs because I'm using them as part of my business when I film. And I also purchase all of these things through a credit card. So I'm building up credit card points while I'm flying, while I'm buying things for videos, camera gear, and then those points I can use to book more flights, to buy clothes on ThreadUp even. I have the Chase Business Inc. card, but Chase Sapphire is really good. And there are so many different credit cards with amazing benefits. I really do like the Points guy. He reviews all the credit cards basically. Because of my financial traumas, I was afraid of getting a credit card for so long, but as long as you can pay it off every month, I feel like it's a great way to make money on what you're spending. And in the future, I am just going to get more of a normal salary job. In the future, I want to have a job with healthcare benefits. Maybe you can have your 9 to 5 and do your little side hustle at the same time. I feel like that is the most ideal. I truly believe that if you're genuinely excited about your path, then you'll have the longevity to see it through, even if there are tons of struggles throughout the process. Moving through the world with a sense of trust. I don't know if any of you have been friends with someone or have just seen this archetype of person who complains and stresses about every single minor inconvenience. But basically the opposite of that. When minor little inconveniences happen, things go wrong, things are stressful, or you feel like you're struggling, just having this sense of like, this is just what's happening right now. It's gonna be fine. In the next moment, this suffering will be over, or like, this is showing me something. What is this revealing to me? How can I be more curious? How did I take part in this suffering that I'm experiencing? Feels like having a healthy relationship to the mystery of life. Whenever something is challenging, something doesn't go my way, I have complete trust and clarity that is for a reason, constantly rewriting my little narratives in my head, because I do have some days where I'm that cranky person who's complaining about the train being late or things being expensive or wasting money. Like, that can make me feel really pent up, especially if I haven't eaten well or slept really well. I'm cranky, but I regularly have pep talks in my head and empower myself to know I'm literally creating this vibe, I'm creating this narrative. I feel like I've really established myself as this neutral being upon the earth who has an equal opportunity as everyone else. I have a regular relationship with spirit, and there's no reason why my highest and purest desires wouldn't work out. All of my miracles are evidence that the universe is truly supporting my existence here. And I feel that about everyone. Everyone has miracles in their lives that could be deeply, deeply cherished. To take a single breath of ease, that is such a miracle that people are praying for every single day. In other countries, people are wishing that they could just go out and like call their mom and not have it be about something terrible, you know? We are so privileged, and so every little privilege that I have, every little blessing, every little simple thing, having a meal that feels good, that I can eat slowly, I really, really sink into that and think, wow, this is evidence of the universe supporting my existence. And that helps me in moments where I just want to complain and be cranky about things, which is fine to be as well, but like, it helps me to not create a world in which I am the victim of my circumstances. Therapy has been completely pivotal on my healing journey, providing me with a safe space where I could share what was going on in my mind, whether it was stress, sadness, existentialism, or family issues, without any fear of judgment. It became a really important tool to develop self-accountability and healthier habits. You don't need to have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety to even benefit from therapy. BetterHelp is the sponsor of this video, and they're on a mission to make starting therapy easier. They're a platform where therapists and their clients can communicate effectively and get the most out of therapy. There's a journal inside the platform for personal reflection, group sessions on a number of different topics available every single day. And one of the best features of BetterHelp is that if the first therapist doesn't feel like the right fit, you can easily switch to another one until you find someone you really connect with. They carefully make sure therapists on the platform are well qualified, and their customer support team is there to help you if you have any questions. If you're struggling and think you'd benefit from a therapy session, click the link in my description or go to betterhelp.com/hitomi to get 10% off your first month of therapy. Just as much as the financial aspect of my life, my friends, my community, my trusted allies in the world create such a sense of trust that everything is going to be okay. And it's because I can be all of myself with these people. There's no shame, there's no smallness or guilt, and it's such a consistent source of love and life force, and this completely changed my life and my mental health. There's just no room for any doubt because I am so filled with love around them, and it makes me feel so content that I couldn't ask for or need or want for anything more. Just having these people in my life. I feel like I've made so many videos talking about how to make friends. I'll link some of them down below. The more you are cultivating love within yourself, within your life, within long-term goals, love is going to come to you. There is love all around us in the world in so many different forms, and if it's not manifesting in a romantic form or in a platonic friend circle right now, access it in other ways, find communities that come together over creative things, like join a little sewing group or join a meditation group or a yoga shala that you really like. Those are things that I would do, but tailor it to your own interests. Find some crypto bros that you really like, and even if it's not the depth of love that you want or like romantic love, even just know, oh, we are all coming together because we enjoy this thing, and that is one way to access love in your life. It really is just such a powerful energy. And I also think that sharing love, even if you have no romantic connections, no friendships, if you are focused on volunteering, giving back to your community, helping your family out, sharing love generates it. If you are feeling a lack of love in your life, go out there and do something nice for someone else, and I promise you're going to start to feel a little bit better and be like, oh wow, there is love in the world, and I am literally proof of that because I'm embodying it in this moment. So that's a little life hack. It's never futile in the world of love. There is always a way to tap into it, and even with your connection to source, there is an infinite connection there for you, an infinite consort, an infinite ally for you in all of the life force that's around us. Basically, when I look out into the trees, when I see any natural element, that is a manifestation of love to me. And if I go sit by a tree and breathe deeply and say thank you, I feel so full of love. And that doesn't even take any sort of community or effort, really. I just went and sat myself there and noticed the light moving through the trees, noticed how everything is green, and I felt full. So it really feels like a simple, almost like a life hack, especially if you're going through a really challenging time and you're constantly reacting to the suffering in the world and in your life, and you can't get out of your cranky rut. Go out into the woods and just say thank you to the earth, to the trees. Yeah, trusting the universe, feeling a regular sense of love in the world is pivotal and is the reason that I exist. I regularly detach from my identity. I try to do this once a day, but this is part of what my spiritual practice looks like, is seeing where I'm rooting my ego. Am I feeling good about myself because a video did well? Am I feeling good about myself because I just got paid? Where am I sourcing my confidence? Is my relationship with myself something that is stable? And I regularly detach from this idea of being an influencer, from being successful, from being a good friend or anything, and remember the truth of my being, which is literally just the witness. And doing this helps me to not get caught up in fleeting sources of confidence, basically. What makes me worthy of feeling joy and love in this world? And it always comes back to simply just being a kind person in the world, and simply just being here, simply just being the witness, simply just choosing to reincarnate into this life and go through all of these evolutionary stages of just being a human and navigating the world. I have an equal validity as everyone else of being on the planet. That used to be kind of a struggle for me. I used to always wonder why I was incarnated, why I deserve to take up space. I felt very grotesque, especially when dealing with mental health, with depression and anxiety. I was like, wow, I'm really such a waste of space. I don't want to be here. I have nothing to contribute to society. I'm so ugly. I'm so terrible. I was so mean to myself, but I constantly wondered why the fuck I was here. But now I feel okay moving through the world, and I understand that I am here and it is a miracle. I have so much power to do so much good, and I think contributing to the world in some way gives you enough of a sense of purpose to not get extremely apathetic. And that is something that anchors me and my self-worth. Knowing that I am a valid and moving part of every beautiful thing in the world makes me feel confident. Knowing that I am worthy of taking up space simply because I'm here makes me confident. That has made me immensely stable, not constantly oscillating between whether I should love or hate myself based on public perception, based on my appearance, and based on external changing factors. I feel a sense of assurance in my life because I know there are angels that have my back, because there's fresh air for me to breathe, and simply because I am here, I feel worthy and valid of taking up space, listening to my God-given desires. I really feel like our passions, our dreams, our desires are such God-given things, because We didn't choose those. They just are naturally what feels particular to us, what interests us. I think that when you are curious about your desires and curious about what you want to give back in the world, that's a form of communing with the divine. It's like choosing your miracles back, choosing your dreams back that are reaching out to you. Even just following your path, even the fact that you are trying to heal is reason enough to feel worthy in this life. Being a curious person means that you're using your life as fruitfully as you possibly could. Being curious about your suffering, being curious about your dreams, being curious about what it all means is proof that you're using this time productively. Also feels immensely fulfilling to me. Even if I'm completely suffering and feeding into it, I'm like, well, at least I'm feeling deeply, so I can be proud of myself for that. The first half of this video kind of feeds into my next point, which is just being unbothered and not taking shit personally. It's rarely ever personal, and even just having another choice that you can make when something really terrible happens, I feel like is proof that you're not a victim. Circumstances where you do have control and when it's actually just minor inconveniences that are ruining your mood, there's a lot of room there for you to turn those things into blessings and to build mental resilience on that. That's why I love doing things like cold plunges or putting myself in uncomfortable situations regularly, because it builds mental toughness and it helps you to go beyond this part of you that constantly needs to feel comfortable and okay, and gets you used to the fact that sometimes things are going to be mentally and physically challenging, and I can breathe through it. This has helped me to feel generally unbothered in life. I can put up with a lot. This also translates to familial relationships. I'm not close with literally any of my family, and that does affect me. That does make me emotional at times, but I don't really take it personally, and it feels like there's this air over everything where there's space, and it eventually just neutralizes. And it's not a state of apathy or detachment because I'm fully trying, I'm fully engaged, but it's just this feeling of like, everything is still gonna be okay, even if this circumstance doesn't work out, even if I feel a little bit uncomfortable. You know, getting curious and devising a plan where you feel more ease and more peace in your life, that is proof of healing and evidence that you believe in a better world. Nothing in your world actually has to be good or reflect anything positive to prove that you are working towards a better life. Like, everything can be absolute shit and you can still feel touched by some light of possibility simply because you are working towards getting out of the situation that you're in. Spirituality and healing has been capitalized to be this very soft, feminine thing that has a perfect aesthetic. Oftentimes it looks like getting out of an abusive situation. It looks like picking yourself up from rock bottom. Like when I was underage doing sex work and it traumatized me and I tried to die like every single day. It's actually very messy seeing how human we are, feeling so like dense and feeling so problematic in your life. Even just having this mind, honestly, it pisses me off sometimes, and I feel this denseness like, I'm just such a reactive, puny little human, but this is where I'm at right now, and how can I keep growing my resources? Basically, healing is messy and ugly, and you have to confront a lot of ugly truths, and it is uncomfortable, and that is all part of it. And the last thing I wanted to dive into is sexuality, because this is a really intimate relationship, a very vulnerable relationship that you have with yourself as well. And I feel like for many years, and I'm still working on this, I have not been able to keep myself safe from situations that I didn't actually want to be in. I feel like I've struggled to discern whether I enjoy the intimate relationships that I'm having with men or if I just enjoy performing really well. And I'm trying to figure that out currently in my life. And anytime that I've struggled to set boundaries with people, anytime that I've had obligational interactions, I have noticed, oh, I'm not being very safe and kind to my body by doing this. If I'm afraid to say no around someone, then that's evidence that they're not a safe person for me to be around, but also it's proof that I'm not capable of keeping myself safe. So let me cut myself off from any interactions where this could happen, whether that's cutting myself off from people who might be interested in me sexually, or if it's just that I'm going to go celibate so that there's no way that I could, have an obligational interaction or feel like I owe someone my body. And that really empowered and changed my life, because I really struggled with this when I was in my early 20s. I was definitely a lot more promiscuous and was really enjoying that. I really liked being this like fantasy for people, and I liked being this elusive like manic pixie dream girl basically. But then I realized that I had no boundaries and it was unfulfilling for me because I was just fulfilling everyone else's desires and visions, and I wasn't very sure of my own. And then I would just say yes to things that I didn't fully want to engage with. And so from there, I went celibate for about a year. Felt so good to just immediately be like, hey, I'm not engaging with anyone sexually right now. So if that means you don't want to be in my life, that's totally fine. But I'm just letting you know you're not getting anything like that out of this relationship. And I really got used to saying no, and it was so empowering. And then it made it a lot easier when I did start engaging with people again. If you cannot protect and advocate for yourself, just completely cut yourself off from letting that energy in, so that you can get used to speaking your boundaries, so that you can get clear about what your desires are, what your needs are, how you want to engage sexually with others. I used to be so in my feminine around men and then wonder why they thought I was interested in them. So let me explain. I would like go on a hike with someone and just be like, wow, this is so beautiful, and just be like stretching and breathing deep and being in my sensuality. I sigh a lot. Like I really take things in and I'm just like, oh, wow. And I am honestly, I feel like I have the ability to really exude some feminine, sensual energy because I'm a very sensual being. I'll like dance with the wind on the edge of a cliff and just be vocal toning. Anyway, I did not realize, it took me a while to realize the effect that this would have on a man if he was around me. And oftentimes men would think that that energy was directed towards them, that my sensuality, that my connection with all the subtle little tingles in the world was something that I was doing for them or as a result of them. I have learned to just either make it really clear that I'm not interested in a guy immediately if I'm just trying to be friends with them, or just not be as open in my feminine, not be as sensual around men who I'm not interested in. I wrote this in my notes, like not expecting better of men and not expecting men to pick up on the subtle cues, which is unfortunate, but it's just the reality. Women are way more perceptive to physical, nonverbal cues, which is something that I really want to work on, is being able to vocalize what I feel and not just expecting people to know because my body language is like arms crossed, avoiding eye contact, trying to leave the conversation. It's honestly crazy how many conversations I will even be in with men that I'm clearly just wanting to be unbothered, and clearly I have like my headphones in, I'm fully minding my own business, and they do not pick up on that vibe. I'm like, this is clear as day, but it really is a reality. So I don't expect anything different from that. But this even feeds into what I'm wearing around men. Like I'm not gonna wear a super, super sexy outfit around a guy who I just want to be my friend and who is clearly slightly interested in me. Why would I put myself in that kind of situation? And I used to in the past. I used to think that is all their responsibility to not sexualize me, and I still feel like they should be able to control that urge. I'm a queer woman. I see beautiful, sexy women all the time, and I'm not staring at them. I'm not assaulting them or projecting anything onto them. I can just appreciate their beauty without crossing any boundaries. I think we all have that ability. I think that watching women online in sexual situations is what makes this male fantasy feel so uncontrollable for them, but that's a whole other conversation. Like, I really do think that men watching porn and constantly seeing women in a sexual position is what makes them project sexuality into every single relationship. And I only do this initially, so like when I'm really just putting someone in a container of friendship who's a guy, I'm really aware of this. But as time goes on, as they really know the boundary, as I feel safe and protected around them, then I'll wear whatever, you know, my little tiny things and be dancing all cute and be in my sensuality because I know that they're a safe space. But I'm not going to assume that and assume that I am going to be safe to be fully in my femininity, in my sensuality, wearing a tiny little cunty outfit around a new guy friend. That just feels like me being in denial, and it's unfortunate that it has to be this way, but at this point in my life, I just do not expect anything better. I kind of have to expect the worst, and that has always left me to the safest outcome. I feel like what makes me feel most empowered and most like an adult, most like a woman at this stage of my life, is knowing who I am, knowing who I want, and advocating for that fully. This is me, this is what I'm creating, and I, in every aspect of my life, am acting consciously and intentionally. That feels so wonderful, so empowering. Moving with that kind of deep curiosity and awareness and constantly cultivating field notes of like how things could go, what could be the most beneficial, you know, how I have interacted in certain scenarios, taking all of it as neutral information of how I want to move through the world feels so empowering. And I guess all of these things are truly why I feel a sense of wholeness day to day. And I still struggle. I still have life-ending thoughts sometimes, but it is way less deep because I have all of these pillars of light all around me, and it's taken years to cultivate. It's been messy and ugly and beautiful and heartbreaking and bittersweet and so divine and holy all at the same time. I am so grateful, and I'm fully resting in all that gratitude, and all I want to do is share the blessings and bring them forth and expand them out to as many people as possible. And I'm just so grateful for you being curious and for you taking part in my life and letting me be a part of yours. Genuinely, thank you so much for being here. And I will see you in a video soon, I hope. Bye. Please take some deep belly breaths until I see you next Sunday.